We've all received scam emails from a prince in a far off land. But scams are no longer just emails, they're now much more sophisticated. When it comes to password security, multi factor authentication, or MFA, has emerged as the next step forward in password protection. While passwords alone pose vulnerabilities, MFA offers an additional layer of defense against breaches. However, it's vital to acknowledge that MFA is not immune to exploitation. Criminal hackers and scammers have come up with some pretty creative ways to bypass even MFA through the use of social engineering. In today's tech update, I'm going to dive into 4 social engineering tactics that hackers employ to breach MFA, underscoring the significance of a well-structured password within a comprehensive security strategy. Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. I am Michael Kinnett. I'm CEO and founder of Itronal Networks, and every Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific time, I go live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn to discuss the latest in technology and cybersecurity news that might affect you and your business, and to cover some educational topics to help achieve our goal of helping others to build safe and secure environments to do what they love. First, a couple of things from the news here. The Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, has decided to prohibit Avast. They're a prominent cybersecurity company, and they've been selling users' browsing data for advertising purposes. The FTC's action comes as a response to concerns over some privacy violations and the unauthorized use of sensitive information. Avast's practice of selling browsing data has raised significant ethical and legal questions regarding user consent and data protection, and has prompted some regulatory intervention to safeguard consumer privacy rights and uphold ethical standards in today's digital realm. So what does that mean for you and your business? First, it underscores the importance of adhering to data privacy regulations and ethical guidelines when handling customer information. Small businesses often collect and utilize customer data for various purposes, and understanding the legal and ethical boundaries surrounding data usage is paramount to avoid potential fines, legal repercussions, and damage to reputation. Additionally, the FTC's action serves as a reminder of the growing scrutiny surrounding data privacy practices, signaling a shifting regulatory landscape that small businesses have to navigate effectively in order to maintain compliance and consumer trust. So it's important to stay informed about regulatory developments and proactively implement robust data privacy measures in your organization to mitigate the risks and to build better relationships with your customers. Also, kind of news related, we wanted to remind business owners that Google Pay is discontinuing its app in the United States, giving users until June to transfer their funds. Google's decision to sunset Google Pay in the US comes as part of a broader strategy to streamline its payment services and enhance the user experience. While users have until June to move their funds, the app's functionality will gradually diminish leading up to its shutdown date. Google has encouraged users to transition to alternate platforms like Google Pay on the web and other Google payment services to continue managing their finances. This move reflects Google's efforts to refine their product offerings and align them with changing market trends and user preferences. Also, you may have heard there was a cybersecurity attack on Change Healthcare that's owned by United Health, and it has impacted prescription fulfillment at various pharmacies around the country. Change Healthcare reported that it is addressing a security issue. In a previous statement, the company said that once we became aware of the outside threat, in the interest of protecting our partners and patients, we took immediate action to disconnect our systems to prevent further impact. The company said it proactively isolated the impacted systems from connected systems to protect partners and patients, as well as contain, assess, and remediate the situation. Change Health did not have an estimate of the duration or the extent of the disruption as of yesterday afternoon. Michael Scruggs, he's the owner of Front Range Pharmacy in Englewood, Colorado. He explained that Change Healthcare is the gatekeeper between pharmacies and prescription department managers at insurance companies. It generally ensures that pharmacists, doctors, and insurance companies are connected and on the same page through a claims switch pharmacy adjudication network. If you're unsure whether your pharmacy is impacted, you may want to reach out before going to pick up your prescription, because there may be some delays in them being able to fulfill that as a result of this security incident. Now on to today's tech topic. We're going to talk about how criminals use social engineering in multi-factor or MFA breaches. Multi-factor authentication or MFA, it's also known as two-factor authentication or 2FA, is a great way to protect your logins, but it's not foolproof. Hackers can exploit it, especially when passwords are compromised. I do want to say, one of the first things we almost always recommend to organizations is turn on MFA, turn on 2FA, implement it wherever you can, because it is a huge step forward in protecting your accounts. But our conversation today is going to be, it's not perfect. And we'll cover why it's not perfect and how some of these criminals are getting around. Hackers can exploit it, especially when passwords are compromised. It's critical you have good password health. Here's a few ways that criminals are using social engineering tactics to breach or bypass MFA. And this is by no means an all-inclusive list. There are other tactics, other new methods. These are the primary ones that we're seeing out in the wild. First one is called an adversary in the middle attack, or AITM. An adversary in the middle attack involves tricking users into divulging their credentials to fraudulent replicas of legitimate networks, applications, or websites. These attacks, such as through spear phishing emails, lead victims to counterfeit websites where hackers gather login details. Despite the presence of multi-factor authentication, hackers can bypass it when using this 2FA pass-on method, where they quickly enter the stolen credentials on the genuine site to prompt MFA approval from the victim, granting them full access. I'm going to explain a little bit what that might look like. So let's imagine you get a phishing email that looks legitimate. It says it's from your help desk and that you need to log in and accept some new policy update in your Microsoft 365 account, or change your password, or whatever the reason is. So you click on the link, which takes you to a website, and lo and behold, it looks exactly like Microsoft 365. You didn't notice that the actual URL is not Microsoft 365, but the website looks legitimate. It's got Microsoft's logo. It's laid out exactly like the real site, like you would expect to see logging in. You then put in your username, you put in your password, which then sends it to these criminals through this fake website. And they're able to then log in. It prompts them for the MFA, which sends the MFA request to you. You accept it or enter it. Now they have it and they're into your system, allowing them to then move laterally within the organization, create forwarding emails, essentially a business email compromise. Groups like Storm 1167 have been exploiting companies using this tactic. They've been crafting fake Microsoft authentication pages to harvest credentials and phishing pages that mimic the MFA step in order to gain access to legitimate email accounts for multi-stage attacks. So this is something that we're seeing exploited in the wild. So it's critical that you follow good hygiene and make sure that you know and trust the websites that you're going to, the links that you're clicking on. The next method is called MFA prompt bombing. This tactic exploits push notifications in modern authentication apps. So there's a couple, just to step back and explain a couple things here. There's a couple of different ways of doing MFA. One of them is having a specialized token that you have and that the application company that you're signing into has. And every 30 seconds that rotates. It's on a timer, it rotates. And so it's a 30-second unique code. You pull up your phone, you open your authenticator app, you get the code, you type the code in. Another similar method is the code is texted to you, or a code is emailed to you and you put it in. One of the newer methods of MFA that is believed to be more secure is through doing push notifications. So instead of you having to open the app, you go to sign in and it prompts and then it pops up on your phone. If you have Microsoft 365 and you're using Microsoft Authenticator, you may see this. Or if you have a Google account, personal or business, you may see this, where it pops up as a notification on your phone saying, hey, are you trying to sign in? Yes, accept, approve, or no, it's not me. So this is the tactic that these criminals are using now to exploit. So they're using these push notifications. The attackers have to have a password in this case. So they've obtained a password, they attempt to log in, which then triggers that MFA push notification to the user's device, counting on them to either mistake it for a genuine request, thinking like, oh, maybe I was trying to log in again, approve, or maybe after continuous prompts, they are going to accept one, whether accidentally or on purpose, just to get rid of the notifications. It's called MFA prompt bombing because of that repeated method that they just bomb your phone with notifications, hoping that you accept one of them, thereby giving them access to your account. In a notable case, members of the Octopus group compromised an Uber contractor's login through SMS phishing. They continued the authentication from a controlled machine and then requested the MFA code. They then posed as an Uber security team member on Slack, convincing the contractor to approve the MFA push notification on their phone. So it is happening out in the world. Just be wary. If you're getting a whole bunch of MFA prompts that are not you actively initiating a login, change your password and notify your service team, your service desk, your security team, IT support, whoever you work with to handle your cybersecurity. Let them know what's going on so that they can do some research into it. All right, the next method, service desk attacks. As we explain this one, as we go through it, it may sound familiar to you, and I'll talk a little bit about why. In this one, attackers manipulate the help desk, your IT support team, into bypassing MFA. They do this by calling in and pretending to forget their password, and then gain access via phone calls. If service desk agents neglect proper verification procedures, they can inadvertently provide hackers with initial entry into the organization's environment. And this may sound familiar because in the MGM Resorts incident, the Scattered Spider hacker group deceitfully contacted the service desk. They'd done their research. They said, hey, I'm so-and-so. It was a person that they'd identified on LinkedIn that was high enough up within the organization that they most likely would have access to critical systems. They contacted the service desk, said, hey, I'm so-and-so. I forgot my password. Will you reset my password? They reset the password and then enabled them to log in and execute a ransomware attack. In these cases, the hackers then try to get in and say, oh, yeah, I forgot my password. Oh, thanks. Now I got my oh, you know what? I forgot I got a new phone. I need you to reset my MFA as well, thereby bypassing the MFA. So another example of this, Octopus could exploit an organization's service desk if their MFA prompt bombing fails. They're known to do that. They do the MFA prompt bombing. When that doesn't work, they contact the service desk and say, hey, I'm trying to log in. Here's what's going on, in hopes that service desk team can grant them access. They claim phone issues. They request enrollment in a new device, a new MFA device that the attackers control, enabling them to set up and gain access to those systems and bypass any of those MFA settings that are in place. All right, and the final method I'm going to talk about today is SIM swapping. In this case, cyber criminals exploit MFA's reliance on cell phones for authentication through SIM swapping, where they deceive service providers into transferring a target's services to a SIM card that they control. This allows them to hijack the target's cell service and phone number, enabling interception of those MFA prompts that come through text messages, and thereby giving them unauthorized access to accounts. Microsoft has a 2022 report on the tactics of threat group Lapsus, and they highlighted their use of extensive social engineering campaigns to establish initial footholds in target organizations. And among their preferred methods was SIM swapping attacks, MFA prompt bombings, and credential resets via help desk social engineering. So another criminal organization out there that is doing all of these things. The report also mentioned that these methods represent only a fraction of the ways attackers bypass MFA. There are others, including compromising endpoints, exporting tokens, exploiting single sign-on applications. We've seen that in the last year with Okta, as well as exploiting unpatched vulnerabilities. These allow hackers and criminal organizations to bypass MFA, bypass some of those credential needs to gain access to accounts. So it's important to note, implementing MFA does not eliminate the importance of securing passwords. and as account compromises often originate from weak or compromised passwords. They can't bypass MFA until they've first bypassed the password. So having strong, unique passwords is critical. And even strong passwords are insufficient if they've been compromised through other breaches or through reuse. For most organizations, a complete transition to passwordless authentication isn't always practical, but it is definitely a way to bypass some of and many of these issues, and might be more applicable as the passwordless technology grows in popularity. If you have any more questions about MFA breaches or social engineering, I'd love to answer any of those questions. You can direct message us, reach out to our team for a short meeting. We got a link below and in the comments in the chat where you can schedule that. Let's see. We also have an upcoming webinar next Thursday, 1 o'clock. That's February 29th. We're going to be talking about Microsoft Copilot. And if you say, well, what is Microsoft Copilot? We're gonna be talking about that next week. Microsoft Copilot is a new service, a new tool. It is AI based that Microsoft has launched within Microsoft 365. If you use Bing or if you use Microsoft Edge and you've seen a little logo at the top that says beta, or I can't remember the exact title that's on it, but they've been trying it out for a while with consumers, and it's a AI based tool to increase your automations, your efficiency within your organization. Imagine saying, hey, you know what? I need to do a PowerPoint slide presentation on this topic. Guess what? Copilot can use your information, build the slide deck for you. You need to draft an email. Guess what? Copilot can help draft the email. It's going to be game changing. Lots of potential time savings for your organization. We're going to be doing a deep dive into it, some of its features, how it can help small businesses, and answer any of your questions around that new Microsoft 365 service called Copilot. Let's see if we have any questions or comments from our audience today. I don't see any from our live audience coming up. So you can register. I didn't mention you can register for our webinar, our Copilot webinar through the link, through the chat. We'll make sure there's in the comments that link there as well. So hopefully you can come get those questions answered and we can help explain what that is. If you have any other questions or comments, you can always post them in here. We'll respond later on. You can direct message me. You can visit our website at itnet.works. Hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you.